Surprise, Cam Battley.
Surprise.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Doing very well. So we were chatting a little bit here before going live
Yes.
about your company.
Yes.
And
that would be Aurora Cannabis.
Aurora Cannabis. And I invested in you. We were saying really early on, about $2. There's people before me, and you know what? Good on you. But I did $2. I still did well.
Thank you for being an ACB shareholder.
You're welcome. But we were talking about the progress that you've been making over the last while. And it's non-stop. Every time I see you come on this show or another show, you have another development. You know, what are you guys doing right now? What's got your interest?
Oh, a bunch of things. So you saw our earnings last week. They were outstanding. Really, I think the class of the sector for now. And we posted the highest revenue number ever recorded by a cannabis company. But behind that is an incredible amount of activity. So organic growth, we're ramping up production at our facilities across the country. We now have 8 facilities in production in Canada, 7 in Canada and 1 in Europe. So our production is increasing very rapidly. We are launching new products. We are expanding into additional markets. So we're operating in 20 countries right now, and there are more to be announced in the short term. And the reason why is because new medical cannabis systems are cascading open around the world, and it's happening at an incredible pace. So, you know, it's 7 days a week.
It's nonstop.
It's nonstop, but it's the most satisfying and creative work that any of us have ever done. So you won't find anybody complaining about the hours. Yeah,
and it is crazy because you're saying you're in 20 and continue to grow. It's remarkable. It's like almost every week we're hearing about a new country coming out, whether it's some sort of medical or recreational. You're not going to stop this. No. For anyone who thinks that this is
this
is just the beginning.
I've classified it before as a global megatrend. And it is sweeping the world, and there is no stopping us, us as the leading companies or us as participants in this sector. The patients are calling for medical cannabis to be accessible. The good thing is the governments are responsive. So we've been meeting with governments, you know, in the Americas, in Europe, in Australia, and we're hearing the same thing. They're very favorable toward the creation of medical cannabis systems. They want them to be rules-based and rigorously regulated, like Canada's, which has served as a model for the world, a very effective one, I might add, and credit to our Health Canada public servants. And they also want to see the economic benefits from that.
Absolutely.
Which is natural, right?
Yeah.
So it's happening very fast, and what we're seeing that's new and different is institutions, financial institutions, institutional investors are paying attention in a new way. So last week, our CEO, Terry, and our CFO, Glenn, and our chairman, Michael, and I spent a couple of days marketing in New York to major institutions. And next week, it'll be Boston. And 2 weeks ago, it was, you know, a couple dozen or more institutions in Australia. And the week before that, it was Frankfurt. And 2 weeks before that, it was London. Around the world, the institutions are sitting up and they're paying attention because they have been persuaded now that this is a real industry that's here for the long term.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how rapidly it's happened because we fought legalization of cannabis for decades, and you know, they're still doing the fight in the United States. I think that will, you know, reform will win. I'm quite confident of it because people are looking at this now and thinking, why is it a Schedule I drug when a Schedule I drug is extremely addictive and has no medical properties? I think we have gone well past proving that there are not just a few medical properties, there are so many that we don't even recognize all of them. Like there's so much research going into it. So the opportunity for first movers like yourself, where you guys have put a lot of time and effort in your acquisitions of numerous large companies, MedRelief, all of them, CanaMed, these are really important acquisitions.
Oh, and internationally, ICC Labs in Latin America, which we're just in the process of closing right now. Padanios, now Aurora Deutschland in Europe, which is the biggest medical cannabis distributor in Europe. These are early and critically important moves. That position us for the long-term future, for long-term success.
And ICC Labs, actually, that's a really interesting one. That was actually my 3rd or 4th investment in a cannabis company ever. And it's funny
Tell
that
me you were also in CanaMed and MedRelief. We keep acquiring the companies you've invested in.
Funny enough, I have not. Those are the two, but I was in Bedrocan.
Oh, really?
So Bedrocan turned into cannabis.
I started my medical cannabis career at
Bedrocan. So I've been following you, not even purposely. But when it comes to ICC Labs, I don't think people really recognize how, like I kept looking at them thinking, how has no one bought this company yet when they're one of 2 licensed in Uruguay? They're in Colombia.
Yeah.
They've got deals with Nuvera, now Fria. They've got deals with Mexico, with Brasliv in Brazil. That is all Latin America.
And a network of contacts
and
that management team has across that continent, including in countries that you haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really exciting move, and we're waiting now just for the final approval from the cannabis regulator in Uruguay to consider that one closed.
Awesome. Well, we don't have much time because this was just out of the blue, so thanks for coming on. But
it's an impromptu opportunity.
Exactly. We just threw into here. I kicked Greg and Carl out right away. But one thing I did want to touch on, because this is something that as an investor I've been looking into a lot, and we've been telling our community a lot to look into, is stop going with all this speculation and all these projections. Like, projections are good, but we start looking for companies that are growing properly, expanding properly, do they have a place to sell? And when we were talking about that earlier, you went into Larson and what you're doing with your facility.
Thomas Larson, yes.
What is different about your facility? What's going to make you thrive?
Okay, so what's different for Aurora overall is that the vast majority of our production will always be indoor facilities in precisely controlled environments. And all of our facilities built to EU GMP standards, European Union Good Manufacturing Practices standards. And that's from our very first facility, Aurora Mountain, north of Calgary, which was the first purpose-built cannabis production facility in the world, to our knowledge. And then Aurora Sky, the first of our Sky class facilities. And what's differentiated for Aurora about that is enormous. We're the only ones in the world who are producing mass-scale indoor facilities with the glass roof that allow us to harness the power of the sun, and just as many lights per square foot as in our indoor facilities. So we have that optionality and that flexibility to ensure there's always the optimal amount of light on the canopy. But the benefits of these massive indoor facilities with these HVAC systems that could power an aircraft carrier is it gives us the ability to precisely manage the environment in which the cannabis grows. And that is a critical distinction. It means that we're able to do this on a very, very consistent basis. And at our Sky Class facilities, we use strains optimized to an 8-week cycle. So 8 weeks, take down a harvest and then replant. 8 weeks, 8 weeks, 8 weeks across all of the rooms. And at Sky, there are 17 flower rooms, each of which is 34,000 square feet. So really massive scale. But the precision environmental control means that we have that predictability over time. And it gives us greater production efficiency than you would get in a traditional greenhouse. Because whereas a traditional greenhouse may give you 3 growth cycles per year, with these tightly controlled indoor environments, we can get better than 6 cycles per year. So the production efficiency per square foot is the highest in the world. The quality of the cannabis, because it's in such a perfect environment, is, it's outstanding. It's absolutely top premium quality product. And the predictability of it is amazing. So we've effectively de-risked the production of the raw material. And that's very, very important, because no matter what you do with the product, create derivative products, no matter how you brand it, you've still got to have predictable, consistent, low-cost access to that raw material. And so what we've done is, together with Thomas Larson, who now heads up Aurora Larson Projects, ALPS, we've invented the most advanced cannabis production technology in the world, and we've created a technology that is both replicable and scalable on a global basis, and that's fantastic.
Man, I'm glad. Can you tell he's excited about his company?
Just a little.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
Well, you're coming back on the show. For those who are watching the network, come back sometime after 3 p.m. because you're sitting down with James for a more in-depth interview as well. Appreciate just coming on and starting up the show.